friends, Sandra here and welcome to my channel, Stars in Palm. Be sure and hit that subscribe button to become part of the Sassy Club. We're going to be talking about inks today, and I'm going to be kind of short and sweet with this because I have quite a few inks that I want to talk about and I don't want to take too long while I'm doing this, so I'm just going to be brief about it, kind of tell you all about the inks that I have in my stash, and I'm going to be primarily talking about dye inks, and in my next episode I will be talking about pigment inks, and I will also be showing you how they look like on stamped planner pages at the end of this video, so stay tuned. The first brand of ink pad I want to talk about is Hero Arts ink pads. These happen to be the ombre ink pads, which I know some people have mixed reviews on, but I love these ink pads and I love the ink formula that is used for all their inks, including their ombre ink pads, because not only is it acid free and fade resistant, it's waterproof and it works for watercolors, and it has a raised felt pad so it's easy for stamping, and I just really love the formula that it's made out of, because once these dry, they might have little splotchy bits, but they even themselves out, which is kind of like magic if you ask me. So for the most part, I give these definitely like a 5 out of 5. I really love these ink pads. These next inks I'm going to be talking about are actually the Color Theory Studio Calico inks. You guys see me use these quite often in my Project Life type videos, and sometimes even in my planner. I really like the colors. I like that these are stackable and small, and they're just really easy to work with, and they're quite, I would say, in a good price range. They're, I believe, about $3.99, which isn't like super great price, but it's definitely not bad for what you get. Another thing that I like about these is that you can do generational stamping, which you can do with a lot of inks. You just have to test them out to see, and what that is that you stamp it the one time and then you can stamp it again without re-inking it and getting a second impression, as you can see I just did there. You can get up to the third impression. The only thing with these is that sometimes it's a hit or miss. Sometimes these work great, other times I feel like they come out super like splotchy and not so great, and then other times they give me a great impression. Certain colors are easier to work with while other colors tend to be a little bit harder to get a clean impression, if that makes sense, but overall I would give these about a 3 out of 5. These next inks I'm going to talk about are Memento Inks, and the thing that I love about these is not only are they affordable, but you get a lot of sizing options. You can either do the minis or you can do the large pad as well, and you can also do that with the Hero Arts inks, except for the ombre ink line. And the great thing about these is for the most part you always get a great impression. I've always loved Memento inks. They're one of the first ones that I've owned and I've loved them since then. I love that since it's a teardrop shape for the minis, that if you want to just color a certain part of your stamp, it's easier to do that with the way that the tip is made. And for the most part you get pretty good images. Every once in a while you might get a little bit of a splotchy one, but for the most part the inks work really well. And like I said, super affordable. They're super easy to store if you have a small space, and it's felt raised as well, and you can just stamp it right on top of your stamp and pick it up, which I really love having that option. And yeah, one of my favorite inks that I've owned from the beginning, and a lot of these colors are actually dupes for the Studio Calico colors that are in that line, which is kind of great, and I realize that since I have one of every color, so saving you guys time and money. And that large black ink pad you see there is great to use with Copic colors, and that's mostly what I use it for. So these distress inks you guys have seen me use a lot lately in my planner videos. As I've said before, they're not really meant for stamping, they're more meant for adding ink directly to your cardstock and smoothing it out with a tool, and you guys have seen me do that in my planner videos, so if you haven't watched those you might want to take a look. For the most part, if you do stamp with these, for the most part you will not get a smooth impression, you will get more of a splotchy impression because it is a distressed ink and that's how it's made to work. It's not made to get smooth images, but you can really achieve really cool looks with these if you do use a distress ink and you kind of want more of a distress messy look. They come in a large ink pad as well as a mini ink pad, and I really love these for adding colors to things, and just, you know, when you don't want everything to be perfect, these are really fun to use, and the colors are kind of more muted, which I really love, and they're very well priced in my opinion, especially because now you can get the minis, and that little tin I used to carry all my minis around if I want to stamp on the go. So Archival Ink Pads are definitely an oldie but goodie. They're made by Ranger and they're water-based. They're great for mixed media to use with watercolors and acrylic paint. And I really love these because they're super vibrant, and not just that, guys. I've literally had these for a couple of years. The black in general and I literally never had to re-ink it, so I think that that says a lot. It just really lasts. It's a good quality ink pad. It's also felt raised, and you get really crystal clear impressions. The only drawback with these ink pads is they do tend to stain your stamps, but stamps are made to be stained. If you own a good photopolymer stamp, anyone who's a crafter, who's been a crafter for a long time, will tell you that stamps are gonna get stained, and as long as you're using a good cleaner for them, really, that you have nothing to worry about. Photopolymer stamps tend to absorb ink a little bit more than, let's say, cheap stamps like acrylic, so just, you know, goose fraba, let that go. And honestly, I highly recommend these ink pads. I would say for me they're a 5 out of 5, and if you guys have any opinions on these, let me know in the comments below. So I wanted to take advantage and show you guys how these inks look on planner paper, since I know you guys know that I'm all about my planner lately. And I have a happy planner page here from one of the weeks where I kind of was MIA. And then I have a piece of paper from my Kiki K planner, which is like the to-do list paper. I was going to say toodaloo. And this one is pretty thin, as we all know if you've owned a Kiki K before. This is Archival right here, this is Memento right here, this is Studio Calico right here, these two, and then this is Hero Arts, and I believe this is Hero Arts as well. So as you can see, most of them have shadowing. The ones that have the least shadowing, from what I can tell, is probably this one ink right there, and then slightly this one archival black one for some reason. But for the most part, yeah, these are going to go through your papers, unfortunately, you guys. And that's part of the reason that I know a lot of people use pigment inks on their planner pages when they have Kiki K planner pages. And I will be doing a full video on pigment inks coming up soon if that's something you guys also would like to see. So if you do, be sure and like this video and leave me some comments below about any questions or thoughts you guys have on this. For this next one, this is the Happy Planner page, and as you guys know, I stamp a lot on my Happy Planner. This is Archival right here. This is Memento Ink right here. This is Hero Arts, and then this is Studio Calico Color Theory. And part of the reason I didn't stamp all the colors was because I figured that was not really necessary for you to kind of get the concept of what it is right here. So as you can see, there is slight shadowing, if the camera's picking that up, right here on the Archival and Memento, slightly. If you can see right here, these are the Hero Arts ones, and it's a lot more noticeable, because to me, like, this amount of shadowing right here wouldn't personally bother me, but I know for some people it does. And then this is the Studio Calico ink right over here, which is the Color Theory, and it also has a slight amount of shadowing. I would say the equivalent to the Archival and Memento. So all three of these have slight shadowing. It might be hard to pick it up on camera, but they all have a slight shadowing. But like I said, not enough to me personally to bother me. So that is just something to keep in mind when purchasing these inks. And I will have a full review on the other inks, as I was saying, you guys. But I hope that this review was helpful. I know I had a bunch of you guys asking me to do this review, including some of my fave subbies. You guys are all my favorite. I'm just joking. But you know how that goes. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and be sure and leave me any comments or questions below. I will have all these inks linked in the description box below. And as always, you guys, thank you so much for watching. Bye!